at the Historic Natchez Tableaux. Tableau is a word from French that means living picture, tableau vivant. This tableau was started back in the 1930s by our grandmothers as a way to show different scenes out of our Natchez history. The scenes are wonderful. We have little children dancing around a maypole, scenes from our Native Americans where we have our woman chief. We also have the French explorer La Salle. We also have our Spanish explorer Gayoso, and then we have Major Andrew Ellicott, who will raise the first American flag here in Natchez over on Ellicott's Hill. The historic Jefferson College out in Washington, where it was a former military academy, and the cadets would have big parties where they would invite Natchez belles to come out and have a dance called a soiree. So we have beautiful belles dancing in beautiful pilgrimage costumes doing the soiree.
Kinds of sports.
We also will have the hunt, which is a lot of fun because we have men dressed up in the traditional English hunt costumes with their little dogs that come parading out into the auditorium. Then at the end is when we have our court procession, the king and the queen.
They use the term tableau, which comes from the French term tableau vivant, which means living picture. And that is a form of entertainment that was popular both in this country and in Europe for hundreds of years before we had radio or television. And people would dress up in costumes and portray some well-known scene or event. And so that is why we call one of our evening entertainments the Historic Natchez Tableaux.
It was started back in the 1930s by our grandmothers who wanted to have evening entertainment for our tourists who came here for pilgrimage to see our beautiful antebellum homes. And it has progressed through the years. We elect a king and a queen and a court who reign over pilgrimage. The Natchez Garden Club and the Pilgrimage Garden Club, this is a joint effort. Each one of them has their court. So we each have a king and a queen and pages and our court generals and our court maids. It's a very big honor to be asked to serve on one of our courts.
I was in the first performance in 1932. I was the page to the queen. I tell people I've never been royalty, I've just been near it, because I've had kings and queens. It was really just one night and very exciting, and the nice king and queen were real sweet to us.
We honor all who came before us and helped to create this place in which we live and our culture here in Natchez, a place to remember forever.
We are Natchez, the people in your language. We have been here on the banks of the great river for over 1,200 of your years. There were many more of us before the Europeans came with diseases for which we had no cures. Where once we controlled all of southwest Mississippi, from the second largest mound east of the Mississippi River, which you know as Emerald Mound, we now live in a few villages along the banks of St. Catherine's Creek. I am called Woman Chief, a member of the nobility called the Sons. We hold rank according to our mothers. My brothers are called Great Son, who is our Peace Chief, and Tattooed Serpent, who is our War Chief. My daughter, Tattooed Arm, will become Woman Chief after me, and her brothers will succeed their uncles. We live at the Grand Village, 3 miles east of the Mississippi River, on mounds raised above the level of the commoners, around a large ceremonial plaza between Great Son's house and our temple. Our way of life has been threatened. Men from across the eastern sea have forced many of our people from their homes and hunting grounds. So today, Tattooed Serpent and his eagle warriors begin preparation for war with a grass dance to invoke victory over our enemies. In good faith, we extended the calumet, a symbol of hospitality and kinship to our neighbors from Canada, although we had been warned by our Chickasaw brothers that they were not to be trusted. The colonists seized our best land, our homes, and enslaved our people. Finally, we could endure no more. In 1729, my brothers and I led a rebellion against the French and killed many of them, but others came with soldiers and bigger guns. We fought bravely and long, but their weapons were too strong for us. My brothers and I were captured by the French, put into prison in their town of New Orleans, and sent into exile across the Southern Sea. My character is Woman Chief, and she represents the Matriarchal Society of the Natchez Indians. She was the main protector of the Indians themselves, and her by herself went into battle with the French with her brothers. She was a big person back then. Woman Chief was.
What goes through your mind when you're doing the performance?
Just trying to portray to the people that are here that don't know anything about the history of Natchez, to try and get it through to them, to emote what the Indians went through and to give them a sense of feeling as to what really happened back then.
I am portraying the English in the raising of the flag, talking about how the English first arrived in Natchez, where they settled, and where they moved after being established in Natchez.
Still popular in much of England today, May Day included sunrise caroling, gift giving, the decorating of public squares and doorways, the election of a May Queen and King, and of course, the dancing of the Maypole.
play Little Maypole.
What do you like about it?
That I get to go around the pole each way.
it's really kind of been a history lesson on Natchez for me. I mean, I was born and raised in Natchez, and putting dates with all the historical events that have taken place. You know, when the French came, when the Indians gave up Natchez, when the French came in, when the Spanish came in, and then when the English finally came in.
President George Washington wanted to make sure that he had a professional military engineer to come to the Natchez territory and oversee the markings of the boundaries of the country's newly acquired territory. Therefore, he sent me, Major Andrew Ellicott, to Natchez with orders to conduct the survey and to ensure that the Spanish left the territory immediately. I arrived in the Natchez territory in February of 1797, setting up camp on the property located directly across the street from the front of this building, now known as Ellicott's Hill. Set up camp there and rose the American flag claiming the territory for the United States. The townspeople celebrated with a picnic. Hip, hip, hooray!
Natchez became a magnet for small farmers, land speculators, and adventurers from the east due to its location on the Natchez Trace and the Mississippi River. On December the 10th, 1817, Mississippi achieved statehood, becoming the 20th star on the flag of the United States. I am David Holmes, and I have the privilege of serving as our first governor. The entire population of Natchez and Adams County gathered at the new state capitol in Washington, Mississippi, with a public ball featuring popular dances.
our docks, carrying with it the international star, Fanny Ellsler. Miss Ellsler was the greatest ballerina of her day, and the very first to wear the specially designed slippers that allowed ballerinas to stand on the tips of their toes.
I attend ballet class Monday and Wednesday for 2 hours, and we practice for pageant extra on Sundays.
What do you enjoy about doing it?
It's really sassy, and I just like getting into it and doing my own thing.
When I say entertainment, I'm talking about can-can.
The Natchez and Adams County delegates to the state secession convention were among the very few who were prepared to vote against secession. Mississippi seceded from the Union on January 9, 1861, and flew the bonnie blue flag over the state capitol as a symbol of independence. It's the blue flag with the white star hanging there at the end of the hall. Young Natchez men joined the Confederacy, and towns here and all over the South held farewell balls as their men went to war. Throughout the war, and even during the Union occupation here in Natchez and elsewhere, balls and grand parties were held, benefits, first to raise funds for weapons and uniforms, and later to assist the sick and imprisoned on both sides.
It was fantastic. It's our first trip to Natchez and we're having a great time. Wonderful history lesson. History can be fun.
I thought it was great. The costumes were absolutely beautiful and it was very historic.
I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining and educational.
I'm from Rancho, Verdes, California, and the performance was very interesting to me. I especially enjoyed seeing the little children who obviously want to participate. And I think it's important that they learn how to dance and stand up straight, and they are learning to have some manners, the way they interact with each other and all the adults on the floor. I thought it was very good social conditioning, which is important if you're going to get along with a lot of parts of society as an adult.
It was very wonderful tonight. It's always beautiful to come here and see our local children that start at early ages and go to their teens and in college, and they come back every year and do this. It's very historical, it's accurate from our history, and I loved it.
My mother started the soiree in 1956, and so she needed two adults to be on the stage, and we're the two adults.
What does this mean to you?
I love it, I think, because it makes me, my mother was so involved with the tableau my whole life that it makes her closer to me when I come down and I do it. I think of her and how much she loved it, and I love it too.
How many years have you been in the tableau?
Since I was 5.
What do you like the most about it?
You just get to be really girly and fun, and it's just a really good feeling because you get to show people what our town's got.
What have you learned about history by doing this?
I've learned about how we got our independence and how just how Natchez and Mississippi has grown and changed.
We need to know where we've been to know where we're going. So it's nice to capture the historic elements of Natchez, being the oldest city on the Mississippi River. There's a lot of history here and a lot that is, will be forgotten if not preserved in something like the Historic Natchez pageant.
I was born and raised here. I have taken for granted a lot of the things that have gone on in the area from the 1700s to now. But the history of it for me kind of gives me a sense of pride in who I am and why I'm still here and why I want to raise my daughter here and her daughter's here and that kind of thing. So it's a big, big deal for me.
When I was younger, I was involved in several different parts as I came through in the business community here. You're expected to give a little of your time and enjoy playing some of the different roles in Tableau. and I've got 3 children, and my last will be her last year this year. And
What does it mean to you, and what value do the kids get out of participating?
I think there's a certain amount of discipline that each one of them learns, the dance, to be involved in the community, something that maybe other kids in a community that doesn't have that gets, that some others don't. And I really think that sense of community is what makes the South or make Natchez different than a lot of the other places in the country.
It preserves the idea of what Natchez was like, over 100 years ago. Of course, Natchez is embedded throughout America as far as a tourism destination, and a lot of people come here, and that's what the idea of the pilgrimage is. People come here to visit Natchez. There was a time when Natchez was a very wealthy town, and it fell in hard times, and the homeowners of all these wonderful mansions figured out, hey, look, we can get people to come here and visit our houses and get them to spend money in Natchez. And it was basically an early Chamber of Commerce project years ago, and it helped Natchez tremendously, where you saw a lot of towns in the South that were basically dying and going broke, and Natchez survived. Natchez has got a lot of fortitude.
Natchez is a wonderful place to come visit. It has this sort of casual sophistication to it. You can come and you can eat tamales, or you can have a wonderful steak dinner, and there's so much to do. There's music festivals. I mean, it's really worth the drive. I mean, there's no other place like this. We are situated about 200 feet off the Mississippi River, and you cannot beat a view like that. That sunset is going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
The tableau is so important because we are showing scenes from our past to preserve for our future. The generations that are coming up now and that come here to visit, they bring school groups that come. They're learning Mississippi history all over Mississippi. They're learning our American history. And they come here and they're actually able to see what life was like back in the 1800s.
It means Natchez. And I love Natchez, and I want everybody to see us in our best light and love it just like we do. I've been here all my life, except for 4 years of college. And I was married for 49 years, had 5 children, and so Natchez is home.
They can call 800-647-6742 or go to natchezpilgrimage.com, where they'll find information about the tours and the evening events. And there's a lot more to do here during pilgrimage, so there's enough to keep people busy for a week easily.